The Duke of Wellington pub was famous for a statue of a large Wellington boot in the garden. People would travel for miles to take selfies with the Wellington. However, the real Duke of Wellington was not too pleased about the hoi polloi trying to associate themselves with the family's regal name. The kerfuffle first occurred over dinner. Lizzie, the Duke's daughter, had been scrolling through her phone at the residence's long table. While her left hand forked over the peas on her plate, she discovered that the hashtag #IamDukeWellington hashtag was going viral and, apparently, breaking the internet. She looked through all these people with fake tans and baseball caps, posing with the famed Wellington boot. It was most abhorrent. "Will you please stop playing with your peas, Elizabetta? Those are for nourishment. You're not playing plate golf." This put Lizzie in a bad mood, as he usually criticised her and her brother at least once while eating dinner. She stormed out to the toilet, in such a rush that she forgot her phone. The Duke waited a while to let his temper calm down, before he cleared up the plates himself. Sadly, servants were a luxury that they could no longer afford. Then, his attention was drawn to a rather revolting figure, with his trollop girlfriend posing next to a bronze boot. He snorted in disgust, scrolled the phone upwards. There again was another picture of some swamp urchin with a hashtag #IamDukeWellington. Again he scrolled again, and again he found more pictures of commoners claiming to be him. He was fuming, and he cleared the plates. He took the phone back to his daughter in her room, apologised and asked Elizabetta how to stop this from happening. "You can't stop it, Pa. It's the internet. People can do whatever they want. Now, shut the door behind you." He was still fuming. He would have to call Jeremy, his lawyer friend from St. Truffles, to sort out an injunction or some such. He went to his study, lit the green and gold lamp, and picked up his 1990s BT cordless telephone. The ringing was so loud and his hearing aid was too high. He fumbled with the dial as a leathery voice answered. "Dick, how the devil are you? Which wife is it this time that's got your balls in a vice?" "Well, Jeremiah, we're at the centre of a technological crisis. Something social media, something my daughter is into. Anyway, we're going viral, and I'm not talking of something you pick up on one of your cruise holidays. Are you talking about norovirus? Your ex-wife Nora, I mean." "No. These ghastly people are sullying our family title. They're taking photos and writing I am Duke Wellington next to them. Oh, Christ. It would be unwise to be associated with such cretins. I don't know what I can do. Suddenly this isn't China. We can't smother the interweb like a chicken in a sweet and sour sauce that's had too much sauce in it. Can't you send them threatening letters about slander or copyright or some such? This dukedom hasn't been passed down since the Doomsday Book for it to be besmirched by some ruffians in an Essex boozer. My hands are tied, Richard. I can't do anything." "Oh, come on." "No, they're literally tied together. Teresa here wants to show me some strong and stable leadership, and she's about to press hang up. Ciao, Richard." "What a bunch of useless mugwumps," said Richard to himself. He returned the phone to his dock and poured himself a strong scotch and plopped an ice cube into the glass. How abominable. He marched through the East Wing's dilapidated corridors where paintings of his forefathers were lined up in chronological order. "I am terribly sorry." At that point, a stern-looking gentleman in a painting appeared to move and started talking. "You must shut those vexatious creatures down. I don't care how you do it, little Dickie. Stop this palaver before the press get involved." He then returned to his original pose and stayed motionless. Richard took another sip of his scotch and winced and shivered in determination. In his beaten-up Land Rover, he opened the glove compartment to remove 2 black leather gloves and the 1988 UK Road Atlas. He replaced it with a revolver and a candelabra. He drove along the gravel track, past the overgrown lawns and hedgerows, and then put his foot venomously down. The floor appeared to be swaying for the remaining punters in the Duke of Wellington. The carpets were sticky, the surfaces were covered in crisp crumbs, and the beer garden was full of parents shouting at their screaming toddlers who didn't like the atmosphere. The Duke pulled into the car park and went into the front door after removing his driving gloves. The revolver was stuck in his back pocket. "What can I get you, love? We've got a manager's special on woo-woo cocktail pitchers, or, if you want, we've got Prosecco with a 2-for-1 offer." He inhaled deeply in repulsion. "I shan't be drinking any of that cat piss, for this is a robbery." He pulled the revolver from his back pocket and everyone screamed. "I won't tolerate this tarnishment any more. I am the Duke of Wellington, and now this is my pub." Everyone backed into the edges of the room. He backed towards the fire exit and went into the garden. Alas, he found the Wellington boot statue glimmering in the hazy summer dusk. He then tried to unearth the statue. Goodness me, it was heavy. He pulled again, but still it wouldn't budge. "You won't be able to move that on your own. It took a crane to put it there," said one of the bar boys who was cleaning up. "Damn!" cried the Duke, and he realised his game was up. The bar staff had called the police, and a car had been dispatched. The Duke ran to his vehicle and turned the key. It coughed and chugged, but it would not start. "Fiddlesticks!" he shouted, but that still failed to start the car. He got out and looked around the village. A church was there, the perfect respite. He hid behind a gravestone and waited until the Blues and Twos arrived. When they entered the pub, he entered the church and prayed. But God was not smiling on the Duke that evening, and he'd been watched. The police handcuffed him and led him away. The following day, the papers were full of a scandal disgracing the Duke. One punter had even videoed the whole affair on his smartphone. His daughter arrived and hugged him through the bars. "You can't be getting in trouble with the law again, Pa. Then you get in this hullabaloo. Anyway, not to worry. Jeremy posted your bail and will probably wangle your way out of this again," she said, as the guard unlocked the cell. "Thank you, Lizzie. I know you're good for something." She glared and then shrugged it off. "You're in the papers, but don't worry. Nobody reads them anymore. Anyway, Donald Trump has launched a range of spray, giving gas hair to everybody. So your misdemeanor will probably be forgotten in a day or two." "I'm not so down with the kids anymore," replied the Duke. "No, you're not. I'm a relic of a fading world, aren't I?" he said. "Let's get you home before you go gallivanting with more trouble," she replied, as they left the police station together.